Alright, I'm back, and today we are going to be doing another rant of the week. This time it's going to kind of go into a new mini series of rant of the weeks, where I'm going to start going over some characters that I know from the properties I'm very familiar with. The properties I'm very familiar with are G1, Beast Wars, Beast Machines, Animated, Prime, and the movies. I haven't really read enough of the comics to really go into the character developments that happen in the comics. I'm sure I hear the IDW does a much better job at explaining character growth than the shows ever did. So I am going to start picking up those from when they started and then reading those, and I'll actually be reviewing the trade paperbacks as I read through them. So I haven't read the comics enough to really go into detail about that. Both G1 UK, UK G1. I never watched the Headmasters and all that. The Japanese trilogy, I think it was. Because I'm not a huge fan of subtitles. I mean, it works for a movie, a really well done movie. I like watching that, but a cartoon, not to mention, there's a lot more to it than just one movie. Where one movie, you're sitting there for maybe 2 hours, enjoying it. Anyway, I'm going off. And I never really got into the Robots in Disguise. And the Unicron trilogy, or Rescue Bots. So, I can't really go into those. But to start us off, we're going to talk about what I think is at times one of the best Transformers characters, and other times one of the worst if they do it wrong. That being Optimus Prime. He's such a mixed bag of whether he's going to be awesome in a new property or not. And most of the time it seems awesome, but then when you really think about it, it's like, wait, no, this isn't as awesome as I was hoping. So, I mean, we're going to talk about it. Beast Wars and Beast Machines count as G1 in my book because they were the direct continuation of the G1 cartoon, American G1 cartoon. I think you can kind of say that it goes in with the Japanese, but I haven't seen the Japanese, so I can't say for sure. But I know it's direct, at least with the American one, the sequel, the follow-up, 300 years later. So Optimus wasn't really in there. It was Primal, which is a different character. So he doesn't count as a Prime because he was never a Prime. I mean, he just took the name because he really liked it. Anyway, so let's go into what I think is the worst Optimus Prime out there. That would be, I'd have to say, the movies. In the live-action movies, Optimus really sucked. I mean, if you really stop and think about it, what did he do in those movies? In the first movie, yeah, he killed Bone Crusher. He killed one random Decepticon. Woo! Good job, Optimus! Okay, the humans are doing that. Hell, the humans are killing Blackout by themselves. And, Bumblebee with the help... Humans with the help of Bumblebee killed Brawl. Okay, Bone Crusher is nothing to write home about, Optimus. I'm sorry. That was a very weak and pathetic outing right there. He had a hard time saving Sam and Michaela, was that her name? From the humans, and he had a hard time. He just let Bumblebee go. I'm sorry, if you've got only 4 troops under your command, and you're about to go into a major battle that will decide the fate of both the planet you're on and your home planet, you're going to kill a few humans to get your troops back. You're not going to just be like, okay, well, Bumblebee would have wanted it this way. No! You smash the humans. I mean, what are they going to do to you? It just really frustrated me. And then when the going gets tough and Megatron beat the ever-living hell out of Optimus, Optimus is like, push the cube into my spark. That's your plan. Suicide. That is hands down the worst hero of a movie I have ever seen. He killed one bad guy, and he had difficulty doing that. Well, no, he didn't have difficulty doing that. But he killed one bad guy. He got beat up by the main bad guy, and the main bad guy was only in it for 5 minutes anyway. And then he wanted to commit suicide to protect the world. That's just stupid. And this whole self-sacrifice thing that Optimus has got going with him, I can understand, a good hero would sacrifice himself to save everybody, but they need to drop that from Optimus Prime for a while. He needs to stop being only way to stop this is if I kill myself. Well, why don't you throw a Decepticon in the mix? Just like, the only way you can stop this explosion is, you block it with your body. Well, throw a Decepticon on there. It worked just the same, right? I don't know. Okay, and then in the second movie, he got a little bit more badass, but he still got killed by 3 Decepticons in the woods. And then he sat the rest of the movie out. Just saying. His motivations were a little bit better in the second movie than they were in the first movie. At least he had his priorities of, okay, well, the cube's gone, we can't really go back there, so we're going to stay on Earth, and we're going to help the humans fight Decepticons if they show up. Okay, I can get behind that. That's a good story arc. Him dying in the woods to 3 Decepticons, especially not once you get into the third movie. And then at the end, they revive him, but he's still weak, and then he bonds with the corpse of Jetfire. Okay. And of course, he does the rest of the stuff. He kills the Fallen, beats the hell out of Megatron. I'm sorry. You just killed the Fallen. You just ripped his spark out, and he is dead. Megatron is right there, and he is weakened. And he's got his lieutenant right next to him. Finish the fucking job! They're right there! You already shown that you can fly because of the Jetfire pack. Go after him! Finish it! Don't just be like, well, this could come back and maybe Megatron will turn the tide and become a good guy after all. Or whatever his thought process of, well, he's defeated, I'm just going to let him go. No, finish the fucking job. Look at the damage that they just did. They just killed you, and you're not going to go after them for this? In the third movie, you see him, there's a scene where he's mowing down Decepticons left and right, and yet, including Shockwave, and yet he went down to three Decepticons in the first movie. And not to mention, okay, this is absolutely ridiculous. In the third movie, he gets shot and he gets tangled up into wires. Optimus Prime is just tangled in wires. I was so irritated with that part because, not to mention, it was stupid that they put that in there. It's stupid that Optimus can't figure out how to cut cables that he's stuck on by himself. And it was even more stupid that he tells the Wreckers, who are there to help the other Autobots fight the war, to stop what they're doing and come help him get untangled. how ridiculous do you need to be? I mean, what level is too ridiculous when it comes to stuff like that? I mean, he didn't stand a chance against Sentinel Prime. Megatron had to help him fight Sentinel Prime, and as a reward, Optimus chopped his head off, which, you know, makes perfect sense. So, thanks for helping me, buddy. Let me bury my axe in your head. There's just some things in that movie that didn't make sense. And the one that makes the least amount of sense, okay, Sentinel makes a deal with Megatron. Okay, their plan is to harvest the Earth for slaves and help them rebuild Cybertron and bring it back to its glory. Okay, I'm not seeing a problem here. One, the plot I'm not seeing a problem with at all. Because, you know, humans are notorious for enslaving everything else to work for them. Not, you know, we're not even going to talk about, you know, us slaving other humans, because we've been doing that since the dawn of civilization. But, you know, horses. You know, we use horses to draw carriages and ride on and stuff like that. You know, dogs, we have dog sleds. And you know, we harvest cows for food. Yeah, how is that any different than what the Decepticons and Sentinel Prime were planning? It isn't. They're talking about an inferior subspecies, something so minuscule and beneath them that the only thing that they could be helpful with is to work for you. You know, do all your bidding. You know, become slaves. I mean, and let's face it, that's what the Autobots were doing already. They were telling the humans how to fight Decepticons. They were showing them what the weak spots were. They were showing them how to do their work for them. That's what the Autobots were doing. And then they get Sanctuary out of the deal. So Sentinel's plan was to team up with Megatron to rebuild Cybertron. Okay. Well, Megatron is essentially out of the picture in the third movie. He's damaged beyond comprehensional belief. And the Decepticons are following Sentinel Prime. So, if Sentinel Prime is a true leader of the Autobots, and he's leading Decepticons now, wouldn't that make them no longer Decepticons and make them Autobots? Because, I mean, obviously, you know, yeah, killing off the humans and enslaving them, yeah, that's a bad plan, you know, that's bad, but, you know, really, how is that any worse than what Optimus was doing? If you think about it, you know, his Optimus' plan was just to kill every Decepticon in their way. Now, the Decepticons clearly outnumbered the Autobots, and by killing every Decepticon in your way, when you're at that point of an endangered species, every time you kill one of those Decepticons, you're reducing the population by like 1/10. So, your plan is to decimate the rest of the survivors of your race to achieve your goal. When Sentinel's plan was to rebuild the planet using some inferior species. Which is worse? Wiping out half your race? Or rebuilding it at the cost of another race? I mean, seriously, I think they're about equally bad. But it's like, essentially, like I said, Sentinel Prime was in command. And he even offered Optimus a seat. So why didn't Optimus take it? I mean, that is a sign of a really bad leader. When you have the opportunity to become, you know, essentially second in command of the bad guys, and you could then move the bad guys into being good guys. You could move them past that. You know, they're willing to team up to save the race, and you're not willing to look at that. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about the fourth movie because that was just garbage. Utter garbage. Everything Optimus did in that movie was stupid and just made no sense whatsoever. It was smelly. Stupid and smelly. Okay. So the next Prime I want to talk about is from the animated Transformers Animated. Now that show was very entertaining. It wasn't a good show. It wasn't a bad show. It wasn't like, oh wow, this is an awesome show, I really enjoy watching it. It was like, oh hey, look, the Transformers Animated is on, I'll watch it. It reminded me a lot of Teen Titans. I think the artists were the same on that one too. But anyway, the story arc of Prime in that one was that Prime wasn't a leader. He was the captain of a ship. That's what Prime meant. Captain of a starship, just like Captain Picard or Captain Kirk. It was Optimus Prime. So, it was a different take on the Prime story. I did enjoy it, but it didn't make for a very good Optimus Prime character. I don't think. I mean, what do you... I mean, obviously, we're all very opinionated in this Transformers universe. So obviously, post your opinions down, and if you think one of the other Primes was better, let me know. From a series that I missed, let me know. Maybe I'll check it out. But anyway, so in the animated series, he was, he was young, he was a little bit reckless, and yet at times you're supposed to have that wisdom to him. Ultimately, he was just another Autobot. I mean, there was nothing really special about him. He had worked together with the team to take down one Decepticon most of the time, and just ultimately, he wasn't a very compelling character on his own. The reason why he was a Prime was because he was kicked out of the Elite Guard, I believe. And they sent him on. They turned him into a Prime and sent him on some salvage ship, I think. Or a mining ship. I think it was a miner ship. And it was just all in all... Like I said, the show was enjoyable. I did get a kick out of the show. Especially there was one scene when Optimus stowed away on on the Autobot, one of the Autobot ships, I think it was. But he's in the little ventilation shaft. He lights a little lighter. He's like, oh, sure. Come out to space. Have a good time. It'll be a laugh. Straight out of Die Hard. It was hilarious. I got a huge kick out of that. I really did enjoy it. The show is worthwhile, but Optimus, there's nothing really about him that is a really good take home. And he had a mouth. I really did not like it either. And as most Primes are these days, they have a mouth and then they have the faceplate that comes over when they're ready for battle, and it's just like, no, just stop. Just stop it. Stop. It's not a very... he wasn't a very compelling Prime, and I would put him at worse than the movie because he's not a very good character. But at the same time, I did enjoy the show. I enjoyed the movies too. But I mean, I enjoyed the new take. It was a fresh take on Prime, as far as I know. I mean, I'm sure maybe it's a rehash of something else. But for me, it was a fresh take on Prime to be a captain of a ship as opposed to a leader of the Autobots. The Autobots weren't an endangered species. The war was over. The Autobots won. The Decepticons were scattered in space. They were gone. War's over. It's done. This is the aftermath. I did enjoy it. So he was more enjoyable than the Prime in the movies. I mean, the Prime in the movies, the only saving grace is the fact that he was willing to kill everything in his path, with the exception of humans. He didn't like to kill humans. Sorry, camera was all freaking out there for a second. But so yeah, the animated one was it was decent. Then there's Prime, the Prime Optimus Prime. Now there was a great Optimus Prime. I think they balanced him pretty well, with being, you know, a wuss, but also being a badass. He was able to hold his own. He wasn't too out of control of a badass, like that scene in the third Transformers movie where he flew down and mowed through everybody. You know, that doesn't happen in Prime. Yeah, he kicks some major ass, and he's got a good story arc where he was archivist before the war, and he was friends with Megatron. They were like buddies, and probably drinking buddies. That would be hilarious to see. Just a side episode of Transformers Prime of before the war, Optimus Prime just sitting at the bar. Yeah, I hate this place. Yeah, something like that. I think that would be great. But yeah, he didn't do the self-sacrifice thing all that much that Prime's become known for. Let's see. Really, the only time he did that was at the end of the second movie. Or the second season, where he chopped up the space bridge, but that was to save his troops. That was an understandable. See, like at the end of the movie for Transformers Prime, where he sacrifices himself to reignite the planet. That's stupid. Come on, you really are going to tell me that there's no other options anywhere at any time other than I'm going to just fly to the core and detonate? No other options. There's absolutely nothing that anybody else can do ever. Now, in the Prime one, or in Season 2, when he sacrificed himself, see, that was a very understandable thing, because they lost. They were done. There was nothing else they could do. They couldn't fight the Decepticons that were coming at them. There's too many of them, and they were hitting them way too hard, and the ship was on its way. They couldn't fight the ship by itself, let alone the air fleet that had that Starscream was leading. And now that Starscream was leading the air fleet, Optimus, it was a no-win scenario. It was a Kobayashi Maru. But there really wasn't any possibility of getting out of that scenario completely intact. And Optimus didn't know that the Decepticons were planning just to bomb the base and blow it up. He thought that they were going to get into the base. And that's why he stayed behind to destroy the space bridge. Was because the coordinates on the space bridge would still be there, and if they got their hands on that, the Decepticons would know where all the Autobots are on Earth, where the space bridge it leads to. So this was the only way to save his crew. There was no other option except for giving somebody else that order to do that, which, you know, he's not the type to do that, and that wouldn't make you a very good leader to be like, hey, you, yeah, red shirt there, I want you to stay behind and blow up the ship. It wouldn't work that way. So I forgive him for that sacrifice, because that was a good one. Into the movie, no, that was stupid. That was just absolutely ridiculous. But the Prime Optimus, for the most part, until we get to the movie, was really good. I did really enjoy him. I enjoyed the fact that he was always like very set in his ways, but every now and then he would go that extra step, like when Megatron was wounded, and he just earlier telling the rest of the Autobots that they don't kill the wounded. There's no honor in that, and yet Megatron's standing there, he's kneeling, he's wounded, and you see Optimus just pull out his gun, and he's like, I'm gonna end this. You know what? I told everybody else that this would be a bad thing to do, and there's no honor, but I can end this right now. One clean shot to the head, and Megatron is done. And, and then something happened and he stopped. Stuff like that, where he was this close, and no remorse. You see the compelling nature. Like, I don't know if I should do this. Maybe I should. It's going to be better for everybody if I do. But it's against my moral code. It was good. I really enjoy that Prime. Probably a little better than G1. Well, no. Sometimes I sit there and I think, yes, I do think the Prime Optimus is better than G1. But ultimately, he falls just a little short of the iconic G1 Optimus Prime. And which we'll go into right now. And I mean, he was the first Autobot warrior, the first one built to fight the Decepticons, built by Alpha Trion when Megatron destroyed his Orion Pax body. Great story arc there, and everything about Optimus in G1 was great. It was beyond great, and that's actually where he falls short. Is the fact that he was such a badass. A lot of times it felt like he was coddling the crew, at least for the first 2 seasons. There's one episode when Optimus gets injured, and the Autobots have to go find a part on Cybertron to repair him, and it was ridiculous on how quickly the Autobots were ready to give up, and how quickly the Decepticons stomped them all into the ground. Optimus comes back and turns the tide like that. And that's how the series goes, for a lot of the parts. Dinobots were pretty tough, but when the Autobots got in trouble, Optimus Prime would roll in and save the day. It wasn't until like the movie, the animated movie, and then season 3, where the Autobots started moving more into being able to hold their own by themselves in combat. Before, they just didn't seem to cut it. And it makes sense. They're not warriors. Optimus was built as a warrior, and it would make sense that in later Autobots added on, like the aerial bots, for example, would be built to withstand combat. So it makes sense. But I think that's Optimus's biggest downfall in G1 is the fact that at times I thought he coddled the troops, and without them they were completely helpless. You guys might disagree, but I really don't think... I mean, Beast Wars even pointed it out. You kill Optimus Prime in the past, and Decepticons win the war. It's not a... Decepticons might win. Maybe somebody else will step up and become the new leader. No, it was Decepticons win. You kill Optimus Prime, it's over. The Decepticon won. The war is over. It's done. And that's what that's what I think is Optimus's biggest downfall in G1, is the fact that, like I said, I keep saying it, I keep repeating it, but he was too badass. Honestly though, he's everything that a true role model for children should be. Not the new movie Optimus Prime that's executing people and letting an entire city die to prove his point. Or like in Prime where where you just kind of let your entire race die in the war, you know, stuff like that. But in G1, where, I mean, freedom is the right of all sentient beings. He was one of the. He was never compromised with his thoughts. Like, you know, Prime, I thought it was a great, compelling story to see him compromise every now and then, and you know, just be like, you know, I can't do this, or maybe I should execute Megatron. No, G1 Optimus, he never did that. You never saw him lose focus. He was always cool, cold, collective. I think the only time he was ready to kill Megatron was in the movie, which was rightfully so, because that was their final battle. It was over between the two of them. This was going to be the end. And yeah, it's interesting how throughout the G1 series, the first 2 seasons, none of the Autobots or Decepticons died. Some of them got injured, yeah, but they always got repaired. So I always felt, and maybe I'm completely out of my mind crazy, which is very likely, but I always felt that there was like this unwritten truce between Optimus and Megatron that, yeah, they will continue to have their war and bounce back and forth to see who can get the upper hand on the other, but no killing. That's the only reason I could see, because there were many times where they should have executed, you know, prisoners, or, you know, I don't understand why, you know, they didn't just finish the job, like when, I mean, yeah, he was just a minor Autobot, but Gears, you know, he needed the personality component, so he takes the personality component. What use is Gears after that? Just kill him. End his life. Use one less Autobot that can get in the way later. And that's what I mean. I mean, I just don't think anybody really died in the show, and there must have been some kind of truce. And I believe Megatron broke that truce when he blitzed Autobot City and killed all those Autobots. And that's right there. That's probably why Optimus is like, okay, you're done. And he goes in there, and he mows through all those Decepticons, and he beats the ever-living shit out of Megatron, and he was done. A lot of people sit there and say Hot Rod, because Hot Rod's interference, that's why Optimus died, but honestly, I don't think that's entirely accurate, because what would have happened if Hot Rod not jumped in there? Megatron would have grabbed the pistol anyway, and Optimus and Megatron would have just had a final shootout, you know, and it would have been an old school, you know, gunslinger duel where both parties are just shooting each other to death at the end. So I don't think Hot Rod's interference really altered the course of what was going to happen. But you guys, you Hot Rod haters out there, can blame him all you want. I don't. But I think that Optimus is the best, and like I said, he's a great role model for kids. If I ever have kids, I'm letting them watch G1 cartoons and using Optimus as a role model, because he really is a great leader. He coddled his troops a little too much, but he really had a lot of compassion to him, letting the Decepticons leave. Like, you know what, you can go. You lost. You took your licks. That's again, like I said, I think that's why nobody ever died in the first 2 seasons, was because maybe they had some sort of pact of no killing. You can fight and damage, but no killing, because once you start killing, you reduce the race. And it would make sense that they would make some kind of rule like that, and then Megatron's finally like, okay, you know what? Now's the time. I'm going to kill all these Autobots, and now once those Autobots are dead, then I can finish the job and kill the rest of the Autobots. Yes, I do have a big knife in my hand. I don't know why. It's just sitting here. But yeah, that's what I think. So, anyway, that's my Optimus Prime rant. Mostly the rant was the movie. I really, I mean, I like the movies, but I really think they did damage to the Optimus Prime character. Irreversible damage. And you know, that's really, really unfortunate because, like I said, he's such a great character and such a great role model if they do him right. Even the animated one, like I said, he's good to a point. He's not as great as G1, but he's still really good for Optimus Prime style hero. He takes more of a cue out of Primal's book, though, that one does. So yeah, I guess kind of a character analysis rant. Next week we'll do Megatron, unless something happens in the world Transformers that pisses me off to have a real rant. And of course, if you guys want me to rant about any other characters from the series that I know, let me know. And you know, I'm planning on doing all the main characters. You know, Optimus, Ironhide, Megatron, Starscream, Soundwave, and just kind of move my way through most of them, and probably do like Beast Wars, some of the Beast Wars characters too. It's kind of hard because they have so little screen time in comparison to Optimus. I mean, yeah, G1 Optimus is not animated Optimus, it's not Prime Optimus, it's not movie Optimus, but they are different continuities, so they kind of are G1 for their continuity. It's very confusing, and I don't like it. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I really like the Beast Wars, because it gave us a new story arc to follow, but it was still in the same continuity as the other ones, so it still fit in the story, whereas like the movie Optimus Prime, it's like, well, he doesn't fit in those stories at all. So this is a whole new continuity. Basically it's saying everything that happened before this movie and after this movie that's not directly related to this movie never happened. And I don't like that. I mean, they really should. They should have kept. There's so much story arc that they could have kept going with the original G1 cartoon. Okay, you know what? That's a different rant for a different week. So this was Optimus Prime. Megatron will be next week.